Hello everyone, welcome back to Umeed Ka Safar. Today's story is a deeply emotional journey, one that unfolds in a city where the skies are always heavy with clouds, and every drop of rain seems to echo the silent tears of a grieving heart. It's a story of a mother, Amna, and her unbreakable bond with her only son, Daniel, a bond that even death couldn't truly sever. Amna lived in a quiet corner of a city known for its endless rain. The streets always smelled of wet earth, and the sound of raindrops on rooftops was like a lullaby that never ended. Her house was small but filled with warmth, memories, and laughter, until the day everything changed. Daniel, her 17-year-old son, who was the light of her life, the reason she woke up every morning with a smile, was taken from her in a tragic accident. A car, a stormy night, and a call that turned her entire world upside down. The city kept raining, but for Amna, the rain had stopped meaning life. It now only meant pain. Each drop reminded her of the night she waited for Daniel to return from tuition, and each thunderclap echoed the scream she let out when she received the news. People say time heals, but time had frozen for her. Days passed, weeks blurred into each other, and the world continued to move on, but Amna couldn't. Her laughter, once so full of life, had disappeared. Her eyes were always red, not from the rain, but from the endless crying behind closed doors. She stopped cooking, stopped watching TV, stopped answering phone calls. Her neighbors worried, her relatives whispered, and her friends tried to help, but nothing reached her. The only thing she did every day was sit by Daniel's room, touch his school bag, and listen to the recordings of his voice on her phone. She wasn't living anymore, she was simply breathing in a body weighed down by grief. Then one day, a letter arrived. It was from Daniel's school. They were holding a memorial for him and had invited her to speak. She didn't want to go. How could she? How could she stand in front of people and talk about her child who should have been alive, dreaming, living, laughing? But something inside her shifted. She looked at a photo of Daniel, smiling in his school uniform, and she whispered, "Should I go, Beta?" And for the first time in months, she felt a strange calm. She took it as a sign. At the memorial, Amna stood trembling. Her voice cracked as she started speaking. But as she talked about Daniel, his kindness, his jokes, how he made her morning chai, and how he'd say, "Ami, you're my hero," something remarkable happened. The audience didn't just listen, they cried with her. Teachers, students, even the school guard who remembered Daniel waving at him daily, everyone shared their memories. Daniel wasn't just her son. He was a part of many lives, and through their stories, she felt him come alive again. That night, the rain returned heavier than usual. But for the first time, Amna opened the window and let it fall on her face. It felt like a blessing. Like Daniel was sending her strength from wherever he was. She realized grief doesn't go away, but it becomes a part of you, like a scar that never fades, but eventually stops hurting the same way. She started visiting his school more often, volunteering at the library he loved, reading books he used to talk about. Slowly, she began to rebuild herself, not as the mother who lost her son, but as the woman who carried his memory with courage. She adopted a small cat that Daniel once rescued and named her, Rainy. She started writing letters to Daniel in a journal, as if talking to him, updating him about her days, her dreams, and her sorrow. She even framed his drawings, placing them around the house like little pieces of light in a stormy world. Then one day, while walking in the rain with an umbrella that Daniel had gifted her, she noticed a young boy shivering under a bus stop. His clothes were soaked, his face scared. Without thinking twice, Amna took him home, gave him dry clothes and warm food. That night, she learned he was homeless, had run away from an abusive household, and had nowhere to go. And just like that, a new chapter began. Amna started helping other children like him. She turned part of her house into a shelter space, called it Daniel's Corner. The word spread, and donations started coming in. She was no longer alone, and neither were the children who found comfort in her care. Every smile she brought to their faces felt like a piece of Daniel smiling back at her. It didn't erase her loss, but it gave her pain a purpose. Her story began spreading. Local news covered it. People called her the Mother of Rain. Not because of her grief, but because of the healing she brought in the middle of the storm. And Amna would often say, "Rain doesn't just bring sadness, it washes away the dust and lets new things grow. In Daniel's memory, she found the strength to turn her mourning into meaning. And so, in the city of rains, where grief once drenched every corner of her heart, Amna learned to dance again in the very storm that tried to destroy her. She learned that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering with love instead of pain. She still talks to Daniel every night. She still cries sometimes. But now, her tears are not just of sorrow, they are of love, pride, and strength. If you've lost someone, remember Amna's story. Let your grief breathe. Let it hurt. But don't let it stop you from living. Because sometimes, in our deepest sorrows, we find our greatest strength. And sometimes, the rain that once broke us becomes the very thing that helps us bloom again. Thank you for staying with us on this emotional journey. If this story touched your heart, do share it with someone who needs hope. You never know who might need a little light in their storm. This is Umeed Ka Safar, and we'll meet you again with another journey of pain, strength, and healing. Until then, stay safe, stay hopeful.